You're listening to the SojuTalk Nation podcast, episode 23.
On today's episode, we discuss this week in music and life adventures.
So sit back and chill with friends. You're listening to The After Show with the SojuTalk Nation. Welcome to the SojuTalk Nation podcast, a chill discussion on this week in the SojuTalk Nation. We're recording on Wednesday, June 16th, 2021. I'm your host, Crispy, and joining me this week is Koala.
Hello.
How are you this week, Koala?
I'm good. I took a nap, so I'm not tired this week.
Nice. Energized and ready to go. Okay. All right, so announcements at the top of the show. We have Soju Sessions, episode 12 on the SojuTalk Nation podcast feed. Therese joins me to talk about relationships in K-pop and dating. So check it out. She has a story about a mountain climber climbing her romantic hills and mountains. Yeah? I don't know where I was going with that. Something perverted.
I don't know.
Something like that.
Oh, God.
Celebrating the nation this week, we have birthdays. We have one birthday on June 21st. We have a Monster Cookie. So wish this person happy birthday on June 21st. Let them know you love them with gifts and things from the nation. Summer birthdays are coming around. So I think people are starting to get out and actually celebrate them as the weather gets warmer, and I think the world is actually starting to open up in a lot of places.
So you will celebrate your birthday with Boba and friends?
Boba and friends. That should be a segment. We can make that a segment. I'm going to note that. Koala, you're so creative. You've got all these ideas mid-show, just throwing them up, seeing if they stick.
Oh God.
Yeah, I think that's all we got today. Let's get into it. So this week in SojuTalk Music, we've got a kind of a spicy episode this week. Could have been an extended conversation on the crew side. We're going to do our best to kind of synthesize all that they had to say and kind of keep things light because, I think we had enough spice on the main show this week. But let's go over the new songs real quick. So we have Twice with Alcohol Free. We have Lightsome, the debut single, Vanilla, and Yugyum, I Want You Around, his solo debut with AOMG. Sorry. Okay.
OMG is something else.
Yes, I still am thinking about Oh My Girl months later after that song.
Like 7 weeks into the release, promotions are done.
It's going to be Arin's birthday on the 18th. I just can't, Okay, let's get back on track a little bit. All right, let's jump right into it. So we had Twice with Alcohol Free this week. The crew had a very extended conversation about the song, about the direction of JYP and Twice, about kind of the direction of K-pop. But let's just start with our initial impressions about the song. So Koala, what did you think and how did you feel about Twice's Alcohol Free?
Oh God. Huh. It seems like I just don't like Twice's summer songs. I never really liked More and More, and I also didn't quite enjoy Dance the Night Away in the past. This one just falls right into that kind of type of songs. It's not really the best song. It's not like I expected a lot, but this is still below expectations, to be honest. I don't know, it's not a bad song per se, but it's just nothing that catches me, and it's just very boring, as Warren said, I think. Just like a ballad, but not even a good ballad, because good ballads still stick in your head.
So they mentioned ballad a few times for this song. I don't know what constitutes a ballad anymore, if that's the case. Because because this song, like they said, it's got the bossa nova inspiration, and then they even mentioned like salsa and samba. To me, I kind of described it as like show tunes, kind of lounge Florida Keys show tunes. I don't know if you know the song from Barry Manilow, Copacabana, but that has a very like stage presence, show tunes, tropical show, um, and that to me is not a ballad. It's just,
I,
you know,
I mean, it's not the genre, but like the vibes you get from a ballad. Just chill, and it's
okay.
supposed to be kind of boring. But this is boring, but didn't really reach anything. It was going nowhere. Like the genre is 100% not a ballad, but it's just as boring as some ballads can be.
Got it. Okay, okay. So more like the progression and the way it was constructed
Mm.
felt like a ballad because it didn't have.
It didn't have a dance break, right? So it's just
Oh, you don't call the crab dance a dance break?
that crab dance is horrendous.
So not technically a dance break because there was I think it was Dahyun in the center of that while she was singing during the crab dance. You can see that crab dance in full view in the Studio Tune
Oh,
version.
oh
Um,
no.
all right, well let's get some positives out of the way first. Okay, so for me, I love the colors, I love the look, I love the aesthetic, where it's like this summery island vibe, very tropical. I think the crew mentioned a lot of the Latin American inspirations of the song was very much conveyed visually. At least how I interpreted it, and I did feel that. And the Studio Tune version definitely gives you a lot of visual stimulus. Like if you are just okay with if you're just okay with the song, like it doesn't hit you as negatively as some people, and you watch the Studio Tune version, it's a very pleasant experience. Or you could just mute it and just watch the pretty girls
Oh god.
and all the colors. Because
Put lo-fi music in the background.
my god,
Oh
like
god.
the colors is just very vibrant. The palette is very orange, like the red orange hue throughout the entire music video, because there's usually like one color scheme in um, Studio Tune videos that they use as a that they use as a background color. It's very much that red orange sunset, and it's just like, ooh, this is very pretty and beautiful. But yes, unfortunately, Dahyun's center of the crab dance is very prominent in that version. So
Oh
yeah,
god.
if you're not a fan of that little moment, it may not also it may not change your opinion in that version.
The crab dance just kind of reminded me of that one crab thing we had in the server with Wolf. Just ugh, but nothing else. Like the crab. What was there? Is it like some comic relief kind of thing, or why was it implemented? I still don't understand it.
To be quirky, that's all I got.
Quirky.
Um,
Okay.
well, let's get into the crew a little bit, kind of reacting to what they had to say. So they had a lot to say. I wrote down a lot of things, but I think the biggest thing that stood out to me about the crew's conversation was I think it was Warren that went into this, and it's about Twice, what Twice is very good at, what Twice's strength is as a group, and it's their appeal. So they have a very strong characterization and their ability to sell themselves as people with great energy that you want to be friends with, and that you genuinely want to get to know, where they are all just very likable. And even if they're not great vocalists, or if um, kind of the focus isn't necessarily the, their music, but the whole package of catchy song, catchy visuals, very happy music videos pulls you in and really brings you in as a fan, right? And I think it was just really interesting that Warren said that this song ignores a lot of the strengths of Twice. What did you think about Warren kind of pinpointing this as being like the key element that's problematic with this song?
I mean, I don't really know Twice as a group and what makes them so popular as they are. But I was aware that their vocals are not the best. So it did surprise me that they chose a title track that was far more vocal focused than I would have imagined. So it's kind of problematic, and I don't know where JYP wants to go with it. I don't know what the goal is, or if this is just a summer comeback just because it's summer and they just wanted to have something. But this song is really not showcasing their strengths, I would say.
In the past, have you felt like Twice has been very approachable, with just very strong characterizations and kind of the more like personable energy as opposed to just like their music, right? Because, and that's a real distinction, right? Because like music and how you approach a group is like typically tied together. But do you think what Warren said, that's Twice's strength, is that they are the kind of group that you want to be friends with? Do you feel like that has always been a strength for them?
Can't really say something about that because I don't know them a lot. The only thing that I get from them outside of like the music is that I see a lot of like Twitter stands or something like that just being very happy once they do a V-Live because they seem very open about everything. But I can't tell whether that's always the case or not. But it seems like they would be good people you want to be friends with. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think on the surface, if you're not a fan, they are just a very pleasant group to have in your consciousness, right? Where it's just like you're listening to their songs, you know of Twice, you know of their songs, and you know that they typically bring a certain level of just like joy and happiness and kind of similarity with their past songs. So for me, I always go back to Cheer Up, TT, and Likey as the songs that I introduce like a new fan to Twice. Like, okay, these are the songs that would typify Twice, right? However, over the past year and a half, I don't know if these songs would be a song to introduce a new Twice fan to Twice with. And I think Warren did make the point that I think he made a really hot take near the end that ever since Fancy and Feel Special, none of the songs he feels like are on brand with Twice. So that would be More and More, I Can't Stop Me, and Cry for Me.
I didn't like Cry for Me though, but that's not a title track, right? It was a weird
Yeah, it was
thing.
kind of a side release. And then now this song with Alcohol Free. Do you agree with Warren's take that Fancy and Feel Special was the last time Twice sounded like Twice?
It does seem that the past releases have been kind of going away from what I would be defining them as a group. I'm just very not sure whether this is just like a phase where they want to try out stuff or if this is the path they are choosing because of the westernization that the crew talked about. So it I think Fancy and was it Feel Special? Is it Feel Special after Fancy?
Yes,
Crispy?
that's correct. Yes.
I think they were still doing the Twice thing, even though it was like a whole concept change. But after that, I'm not quite sure what Twice is right now. I couldn't define it really. It's really difficult to say.
I think musically, this is a point that Warren made that I could never really put my finger on with K-pop. And I really appreciate that the crew and Warren go into this kind of detail with the construction of K-pop music. And it's this idea of a flourish in a song where it's like it builds up to a point, it hits a peak, but then it brings back down to a valley, right? Or it's just like, okay, now like you're in a lower part of the song where it gives you time to collect your thoughts and feelings about just the whole experience. And then it rises again and it does the big hook, right? Where it's just like, and the hook not necessarily being chorus, but like hook meaning that thing that just captures you emotionally. So an example would be Cheer Up, where it's like it starts off like a typical song. But then it hits you with the cheer up, baby, and then it just like literally brings you in with the choreography, or like TT, right? Where it all rises to the point where it's like you bring up your T's to your eyes and you make the TT choreography to yourself. God. But you can imagine it, right? You can visualize it, and that's like that. I think is like the flourish that Warren is talking about, where that typifies K-pop, and that actually typifies what Twice is very good at. And I think that was just a really important, I don't know, piece of information that like I could never like contextualize and like say out loud until Warren said it, and I was like, oh, that is exactly how I feel. So all that to say, I do think that is missing in this song particularly, where it's just like I can't, there's not a memorable moment in the song aside from the visuals that I'm familiar with Twice. And I think that's kind of sad. And I hope that there is some kind of shift into a more exciting direction. But yeah, it's a really interesting spot that they're in, because I don't really know why they're doing it this way. I don't know. Well, we do kind of know. The crew talked about it. They want to be more Western appealing, but I also don't know if this song is appealing to the Western market the way that they intended.
Do you know how long Twice has left? When did they debut?
They are at 6 years right now. Next year is 7.
Oh, 7. Well.
Yep.
Oh God.
I looked that up. Yeah, before the show, I looked it up. I was like, I want to see how long, because Blackpink is 5 years right now, right?
Yeah, that shocked me as well.
Yeah, so Twice is going to be 6 years, I think, in the fall. I think it's the fall or late summer. I forget what month it is exactly.
Like, JYP tries to push them to the US towards the end of their career, but JYP is not good at pushing artists into the US. The past hasn't seen good with that strategy. And the album also did come out on a Friday, if I remember correctly, so it is targeted at the Billboard charts.
Yeah. It's interesting, right? Because I think there's that there's that natural conflict, and I think we'll get into this a little bit later, where yes, like we can appreciate the attempt for Korea to come to the United States with Korean artists, Korean musicians, and songs aimed at this market. However, when it's done in a way that kind of ignores what made that group successful or the strengths of that group, then there's a big disconnect with the audience, with the general audience that is initially supporting the group. And I think that was reflected in the sales for this song, right? Because those are all domestic sales, Korean. And in the US, the buying power and the buying trends are very different. So I don't know how you can reconcile between both of those, between trying to enter the US market, but also making sure to not satisfy, but just like be aware of the effect that you'll have in the domestic market. So yeah, we went long here, but let's end on one positive note. Visually, I'll lead it off with you, because I have my answer. This is kind of a last minute inclusion to our conversation. Who is your visual MVP of this music video?
I can't tell them apart, Crispy.
Do it.
I can't tell them apart.
Come on.
No.
Do you want me to go? Okay, I'll go.
I didn't like the outfits.
You did
not? I
not?
like the faces, but the outfits were kind of weird.
Okay, fair enough. All right. Well,
it's just not my style.
That's fair. It's very summary. Well, I will close it out by saying Chaeyoung is my MVP.
Chaeyoung. See, I don't know who Chaeyoung is.
Killing it. She's the shortest one. She in the music video she has pink hair. Warren does not like pink hair apparently. However, she is not pink hair anymore. So she is like a blonde strawberry blonde. If not completely blonde. I think she's actually completely blonde in Studio Chum, if I'm not mistaken. But she was already transitioning out of it during the comeback. during the release, the actual release. My brain's already skipping forward to like some. Okay. So yes, let's move on now to the debut single for Cube's new girl group. We have Lightsome with Vanilla. All right, this is bubblegum. But what did you think, Koala? What did this bubblegum stick in your hair like bubblegum songs tend to do?
In my hair? No, please don't stick in my hair. It was very bubblegum. I also didn't expect anything else based on the teasers I saw and their Twitter account that's basically pure and pink.
So much
and
pink.
I have a problem not as with bubblegum in specific, but it feels like they wanted to do bubblegum but still follow the trend of girl crush. Does that make sense? Because of the dance break? The dance break felt kind of disconnected to the rest of the song for me.
Bubble crush. Can we coin that? Can we trademark that?
Can we? Hello? Bubble crush?
Bubble crush.
Oh,
you heard it here first,
crispy.
everyone. Bubble crush. That's the new genre.
Because I was really confused. I was like expecting a bubblegum chorus, which it was in the first half. And then the lights dimmed and the electronic beat started to hit, and I was very confused.
Okay, so this song, I want to commend the producers for attempting to do something completely different from G-Idol. Because at least you can say that they are not like the edgy, dark concept that G-Idol is known for in the recent comebacks, right, in recent years. And I am okay with kind of the dated sounds because to me it's like familiar, not necessarily nostalgic, because like I didn't have like these amazing fond memories of like the 2014 EDM, but I did like immediately think like, oh, this is like LMFAO with like the EDM break and like everything. But I think the crew did say it best. Like this song kind of fell short being too much of old trends.
And the problem is I still clearly remember G-Idol's debut trick. Like La Tata was so good. And I almost already forgot Vanilla. And it's not even been a week.
Yeah.
Maybe that's also because I like edgy music more. But I know that this song has like a catchy phrase with that Nilla Nilla part, but I can't remember the melody to it.
Okay, well, yeah.
It's good to set the groups apart now that CLC is kind of gone. Can you say that? They are pretty much gone, right?
Let's wait. Let's wait a little bit. I still like CLC, but let's wait.
Some members are participating in the new girl group program of Mnet.
You're right. God, CLC's not even age-wise that old, if you think about it. I think Sorn is like 21, 22.
Oh, she's so young? Oh, God.
Yeah, she's really young. She's not that much older than Minnie.
But this, I don't know how to feel about it. Maybe it just needs some time. I did like the outfits more, though, even though I don't like the color pink. They kind of looked cute on them. And the video itself was just very vibrant and just gave jolly vibes. But I just think it's just not my kind of style. I think it could work for others, though.
I mean, the crew kind of put it best, right? Where it's like they are going for bubblegum, but I think visually they went a little too far because there's so much pink and it was a little too pastel. And that kind of like, if you squint your eyes, it's like, oh, that's a lot. And I think the comparison with Stacy and Weekly is valid, where you have essentially like this era of bubblegum between those two groups, where it's like it's a little bit of like bubblegum, it's definitely high energy, but it still like brings in a lot of like new sounds, whether that's like Stacy being a little bit more hip-hop or Weekly. I can't really tell you exactly like the new type of sounds that they bring in, but it's very distinct, right? Where it's like this, I do feel like this song probably could have been made like in 2014, but also like
Yeah,
it also doesn't give a distinct style of song for them. Like there's nothing to differentiate them from any other girl group song that does bubblegum like this. I think is what the crew landed on. Um, I will say the singing and the vocals were quite good. That is something that stood out to me as well. I think the crew pointed that out, but I hope that that's something that they lean into more in the future, because I do feel like girl
So
groups are.
you
Go ahead.
talk? No.
I do feel like there are a certain number of girl groups that are leaning into that a little bit, whether that's Purple Kiss, and I think that could be like their place if they decided to be a more vocal focused girl group.
You just want sad boy hours. You want them to do a ballad with those vocals.
I mean, let's it's it's summertime. A nice little bubblegum summer song. But if I know anything about summertime, summer also means it's summertime sadness. So
it means death for me because allergies.
that too. Yeah, I mean, I think
It's not bad,
yeah,
but just not outstanding
yeah.
for a debut, I would say.
I think that's the best way to put it. Yeah. All right, let's move on now to the last song for this week. Yugyeom.
Your turn.
I Want You Around. All right, Koala. What do you got? How did you like the song? What did you think?
Still don't know whether I like Yugim's part or if it's just Davida that's making me like the song. I like Yugim as a person. I'm still not sure whether I like his parts, or to put it better, I think I like Davida's part way more. But that's also just me liking like solo female vocal solo. Oh God, words. Female soloists. That's how you speak. And like features, because their voices kind of work well with male voices a lot of times, and then I just enjoy them more than the actual main act. Will probably take me a bit to figure out how I like it. Visually, though, like the forest scenes with the fog kind of reminded me of, I think it's Vix's Fantasy from like 5 years ago, something like that. And was that a cult in some scenes?
In this music video, I think so.
Yeah, was it a cult?
So I had that it's very like forest moody, right? And I think the imagery is supposed to be like death and like a funeral, because Yu-Gi-Oh's like in a hole, and then Davida is literally like putting dirt on his grave. So I mean, it could be like cult-ish, a cult concept, but I do feel like it has something to do with like death. And I actually don't know if there's like a resurrection theme to it, but Davida is wearing a veil in the music video, so that immediately got me to think like funeral and death. A little dark. But as far as this, go ahead, Koala.
No.
But as far as the song, I love it. It's very much like an R&B, like an R&B song that is very modern. Because sometimes like R&B songs can like fall too far into like the throwback of like whatever era it's trying to pay homage to. Whereas like this feels very modern, and I think it has a lot to do with the combination of vocals, like you said, between Yu-Gi-Oh and Davida. I do think that their tones did a nice job matching, but I also do feel like Davida felt like more of a feature, more than a feature, and it kind of like it's more of a split. It's like a Yu-Gi-Oh and Davida song. What did you think about what the crew had mentioned with the GOT7 members now doing solo bro stuff, but like very much like defining themselves as artists? Because I think between Jackson and Yu-Gi-Oh, I don't often listen to boy groups and soloists. I think I'm listening to Jackson and Yugyeom far more than I ever anticipated this year because of these two songs, because of this song and all the songs that Jackson has released this year.
Still haven't had the time to check out like all their solo stuff. I'm more into their older group stuff. But you can tell that they're going in very different directions. With Mark also being in, is he still in the US right now? Oh, not US. Or US? Oh, I'm confusing him with the other Mark. I think the other one was Canadian. I don't, the music is very different from what we know what they are capable of. So this is quite nice to see. I didn't know that Yugyeom this could pull this off. I knew it from like the Just Two thing with Focus on Me, which had a similar vibe. But it's quite nice to see that they're going in way different directions. And some members still missing, so will still look forward to those. But yeah. I don't know, I think this is still like from what I've heard, the one that I like the most of all the 4 members we've gotten until now. I think it's 4.
Really? Okay. Nice. Yeah, no, I think it's still Jackson for me, but I think this song has Yugyeom like going into the direction of like me favoring. And also because it's AOMG, and I think this is very aligned with the way that they make music and how they focus on their artists. So I mean, I think only good things can come from here. I think I'm just very, very much like the crew. This is my favorite song of the week. So yeah, no, it's a banger. All right, let's move on now to the Soju chart this week. Spice King. It didn't get too spicy this week. The crew had pretty straightforward conversation, but let's go over the chart. So at number 3 we had Yugyeom with I Want You Around. At number 2 we had TXT's 01 love song I Know I Love You at number 2, and at number 1 we have EXO with Don't Fight the Feeling. What did you think about this list this week?
It's, as the crew said, it doesn't feel right, kind of. Not that the songs are bad, but like listening, I would still put like, I don't know, From Is 9 and oh my god, about these songs. Except for TXT, because I'm quite enjoying this song, but like all the others, I'm not so confident about. I don't know what's the chart looking like for you.
I think on a personal level, I agree with you that Oh My Girl 100% should have won Spice King. From Us 9 absolutely should have also won Spice King. I would even go as far as to say the Rocket Punch song, had it come out at a different time, had a really good chance of like staying on the chart for a long time.
That week was just very good of Rocket Punch.
Yeah, and I think those
this week is like very just weak and mediocre.
Yeah, it's kind of strange how it ebbs and flows that way, because I do think those 3 songs typify what we think of as summer songs, right? They are very clearly summer songs, and I think they capture kind of the new progression and like the modern summer song, where I feel like some songs didn't reach that potential. We don't have to name which ones. I think we can all think of the song. But I also do feel like the TXT song is a different kind of summer song, where it's that moody coming of age exploration, like rock song, and I do like it quite a bit. Yeah, I just think it's a very interesting mix of summer songs this year, I think is the best way to put that. I surprisingly have been listening to a lot of EXO. I do quite like Don't Fight the Feeling, so I'm cool with it being a number 1, but I will say the B-side Paradise is my favorite song on that album. That song is dope. That song is very much a summer song as well. I think Warren's list was EXO at 3, TXT at 2, and Yugyeom at 1, and that is my list. So Warren, shout out, we got the same list, bro. But yeah, I'm pretty satisfied with this list. I'm pretty happy with it. I mean, I like all these songs. I'm still listening to TXT. surprisingly listening to EXO, and You Again was my favorite song this week. So, you know, very in line with how I'm feeling about music this week. Any closing thoughts on this week in music, Koala?
I don't think so. I'm just I don't even know what's coming next week, but I'm just looking forward to it because this week was very meh.
Yeah, and it's summertime, so hopefully we just keep the energy up because we want to keep those good summer vibes moving forward. All right, let's move on now to State of the Nation, the return of the World Cup. I actually thought it was going to be Doug's drip, but I guess that's going to be for future episodes. This is a good one too, though. It's still very in line with K-pop and the broader K-pop conversations, and does touch on a couple things that they talked about earlier on in the episode, whether that was like Western globalization and going into markets, etc. But it was a pretty fun and chill conversation. Let's start with you, Koala. What did you think about the choices for the SojuTalk Best K-pop Trends and Cliches World Cup?
I don't know what I expected from this World Cup, but I think like the only fashion choice was the what did they call it? Bro top. What was it called?
It's here somewhere. Bro crops. That's what.
Bro crops.
That's what they landed
on. I think that's the only thing. I thought they would maybe like put in dyed hair for K-pop, but guess not.
Dyed hair, like really extra hair.
Like
no, I think dyed hair actually is a good.
Outside of K-pop, I don't see people dyeing their hair a lot.
Like, that would have been a good one. I think you're right. Yeah.
Orange. So
that's a missed opportunity to put Kai's hair in there.
You missed 12-year-old Kyle.
I do.
Oh.
You know what? I've gotten used to it. However, apparently he changed it to brown now, and he looks like a normal dude in his mid-20s. So it's like, what is the point?
Shit.
Why do I even like this group? Why do I even listen to EXO anymore?
Besides that, you go.
No, you go.
No.
All right, I'll go. I thought the one that was really interesting to me was, and thank the crew for landing on the correct side of this matchup, is lore and world building versus neutral.
Oh god.
So yeah, Doug has mentioned in the past he's not a fan of lore, and Warren as well. But they're also very nice about it. Like they don't like completely go into the unnecessary barrier of entry in which lore can be to a lot of people who just want to listen to music. As you can see, I am very passionate about it. But Anita,
you're the best example. You're like old and really hate it.
I don't hate anything. Hate is a very strong word.
You dislike it.
I think that
you think it's unnecessary. That way, maybe?
I think that storytelling is great, but I also think with everything that K-pop has to offer, there aren't enough resources to tell stories to a certain standard of completion. That is my opinion. Because K-pop is about music. And it's about getting to know the real people behind the music. When you put lore into an equation, you're basically saying like, oh no, there are also characters in this like fantasy world that go by their name, that go by their stage name, that then you're supposed to address them in real life as. It's like there's a little bit of a disconnect here. Am I crazy? Am I crazy, Koala?
I don't really follow groups that have a lot of lore.
Yeah.
Besides like Enough.
I always forget that they have lore. Always forget.
It's like subtle because their MVs just kind of got to the oh no, what's the English word? Oh god, the German brain is freaking right now. Oh, you just continue. Oh.
Well, my rant aside, I will say when Anita talks about lore, when Anita brings up that she is a fan of lore and certain elements of how a group's story can be fleshed out. I like the way she talks about it. And again, it's not for me to be closed off from people who enjoy lore or closed off from any groups that have lore. I think a good example is I still really like Luna. I try so hard to get into their lore against everything inside of me that says lore is not a thing. I tried, and yet I can't do it. That doesn't mean I dislike Luna. I love Luna. This is becoming a rant about lore, and let's move on. So that being said, I think the round 2 matchups were interesting. Okay, so we talked about this before the show. What did you think about Neutro versus Disco Synthwave?
I don't fucking know what the difference is. What is the difference? I'm like, I can't distinguish genres like really well, so this was hard.
So I think the crew described it a little bit. So Neutro is the overarching genre of that style of music, where disco synthwave is an element of Neutro, or a subgenre within Neutro, which then leads me to think, like, why was it separated to begin with? Why couldn't we just have pink hair? Why couldn't we have dyed hair? Warren, you don't like pink hair? Is that why? You don't want pink hair?
You just want Kai bag.
You know who has pink hair that I really liked?
Chaeyoung? I don't know.
Yeah, Chaeyoung. Warren did not like that pink hair at all. She's not pink anymore. She's blonde. Come on. Yeah, I think that was an interesting, like, round 2 revelation, where it just happened that those were next to each other. It's like, aren't they more or less the same? And then I think the IT wave versus K-pop Goes to America, that was interesting because those are both about, like, culture and market and, like, the progression of, like, K-pop as a genre, as a global genre, in a lot of ways. And I think it was interesting that the crew landed on K-pop Goes to America, and that they went into a longer, like, a business conversation about that. Do you feel like you learned anything new about, like, their perspectives and, like, how they see the economics of K-pop within that small conversation?
Definitely interesting to see what they think about it after we already got, like, a small sneak peek, and that twice. Rant, convo, write it the way you like. I don't have strong feelings about it. It's just that most groups don't succeed, so I don't know whether it's really good for them. But then again, I don't really get the business aspect of K-pop. I'm just listening to the music. I don't know whether it's actually a really good move to the US. Like Hype, I think they already have, like, do they have a head? I think it's a headquarter like building in the US. So I don't know. Personalization, the same with IT. I don't know. Just do it, I guess. I don't really care about it.
I think yes. So like you said, I think it's a lot of information for just the regular fan, and I'm not even talking about casual fans. I'm even talking about just, like, our community, where it's like, yes, like, we have the news that breaks, and we do try to disseminate the information. However, there's still a lot of things that we just don't know about how the industry works and how it works in Korea. I think for me, I come at it from a Western perspective and point of view. As much as I try to learn about the business side of Korea, that's just not something I'm exposed to on a daily basis. So I'm still coming at things where it's like, oh yeah, this is how Interscope works, or this is how, like, Apple or Google work from the IT side, or, like, even entertainment, like, oh, this is how a movie studio in the West works, whether that's, like, Disney or Warner Brothers. And yeah, I can say, like, I am exposed enough to the Korean market, but I also don't have, like, an innate understanding of it. One, because I'm not Korean, and two, because, like, I have never lived in Korea, and three, it's like I also don't speak the language, so I can't, like, internally translate what all of this means. So yeah, I all this to say, I do kind of, I want to put this out there. I hope Doug Warren and Anita do, like, a special episode where they just, like, talk business. where they get an hour of just like, this is our business plan if we ever decide, if Korea ever decided to adopt SojuTalk Entertainment and we wanted to make a record label, this is our perspective. Right? Wouldn't that be cool?
Hire me, please. Hire me, please. I need a job.
Yeah. Hey, well, it's pandemic. I think we're all still struggling, and I think it would be a nice endeavor for the crew to, start this company. And then just like, what's Stacy's company?
Higher. They changed their name in between. High Up, something like that.
Black Eyed Pilsen. I can never pronounce it correctly.
Black Eyed Pilsen Entertainment.
Well, like they mentioned in the news, they got bought out by, is it Kakao? Kakao. Yes. And they made money in a year, less than a year, of Stacy's debut. That's wild. So
I mean, Black Eyed Pilsen is a well-known name with good reputation, so makes sense.
Yeah, good reputation, and then also just like the success of Stacy so quickly, I think, is a really great culmination of events, right? Again, that's a great example for where SojuTalk could be. So we're getting derailed a little bit, but so what did you think about like the ultimate, like the final matchup between the circular building? What did they call it? They had like a million names for it.
I don't know.
Building Kun?
Building Kun.
The anime slipped in there. Versus Neutro, and Neutro winning out. I was disappointed.
Okay, sorry, how the fuck did the building make it to there?
What? No, excuse me. How the fuck did the building not win?
I have no connection to the building. It's just a place to shoot shit. Why is everyone loving that building so much? Why am I not in that same sentiment and mood?
I don't know, Koala. You just don't have feelings like us. That's why. You're just an aggressive, emotionally disconnected German. That's why.
You see, dyed hair would have won. Yes.
Probably. Interesting, the Neutral one. I'll just say that. It makes sense looking at the list and all the matchups, but I would have thought there would have been more memey about what was gonna win, more clownery, but here we are. Yeah, Neutral. Any closing thoughts this week on State of the Nation and the return of the World Cup?
I miss the World Cups. Do more of that.
I do. I love this section. This is like, it's just so fun to listen to them, and they get off some really interesting tangents that are a lot more insightful and thought provoking than I'm sure they had planned ahead of time. All right, let's move on now to our weekly check-in, our closing thoughts. Koala, how's life? What have you been up to? Is the world starting to open up again? Are you seeing people in real life now?
Yes, I'm seeing people. We are grilling because it's like, okay, Fahrenheit. What did I say to you last time? 95?
It was 95 degrees. Yeah, I think you said 95 degrees Fahrenheit.
And something like so it's getting real hot, and I was like, can we like maybe meet up? I don't want to drive an hour in this weather with the bus. We don't have anything to do anyway. School is ending in a week. No one cares. Everyone is just watching movies.
Well, you're at school, right? You're going to school physically?
Yes.
Oh, that's fun.
It's very unnecessary.
They should just end the school year already. Be done with it.
It's so unnecessary. Yeah. It's wasting 2 hours of my life every day because I live far away from the school.
I have a question.
Can I just join online? Yes. You have a question?
I have a question about like going back into the world and like socializing. Because I think and I don't think we talked about this. Did you have a kind of a culture shock of going back into like seeing people, whether that was like a large number of people or like even their close friends, and seeing them as often or as frequently, or just being in that kind of proximity with them?
I don't think I had a culture shock because I mean I saw them before, just in smaller groups, like 2 months before. Yes, about that. And we like kept in touch every now and then, so it wasn't too big of a difference. I don't know. Mm. I'm not the person to hang out in person a lot anyway, besides of school. So it wasn't too bad for me. I think the worst part was like around like March, when it's been 4 or 5 months at this point that I haven't seen a lot of people. But after that, it kind of settled down because I got used to it.
So I saw my family again this weekend in Los Angeles. It was my grand aunt's 80th birthday. But this time it was like a large get together. There was, I can't remember exactly the number of people, but I think there was something like 15 to 20 tables at a restaurant. Like
Oh
the
God,
full like Lazy Susan like tables. It was a
that's
Chinese
probably
restaurant,
more
but they bring the food
people.
out and they put it in the middle.
That's
And
probably more people that attend to than they are attending to my school. I'm small school. We only
really?
have like 500, 500, 500
Maybe not
students.
20. I think closer to like 15 tables. But still, like, so I sat with some of my cousins that I hadn't seen in over a year, and they were just saying like, "Oh, this isn't the first social thing I've done in 18 months." And then like he was kind of in
Oh,
shock, and he was just like seeing people. It's like it's weird to like sit next to a person who I haven't
oh yeah,
seen.
you had it like for the whole period of time. We had a good portion in like last year summer when we were able to meet people without any risk. So I was meeting people last summer a lot.
So you had it like at least a little bit throughout the year last year. Yeah, in
Yeah.
the United States it was like completely shut down. Um, but yeah, it was just it felt familiar. I think for me, I've already slowly started to like get back into like seeing people, so I was okay. But I think for a lot of people, this weekend was like the first time because I think the a lot of the restrictions, if not most of them, were lifted as of June 15th for a lot of states. I think like the mask restriction in California is lifted. You don't have to wear a mask now anywhere.
That's kind of weird.
I'm still wearing a mask. I nope. I'm gonna wear this. You get away from me, person who's sneezing and coughing. I don't want any of this. I'm gonna wear a mask. Um, but I did start to see people without mask indoors yesterday, and I was very confused. I didn't know how to feel. So, yeah, I think the world's opening up, and it's weird. But I think there's some habits that I think are gonna maintain, like wearing a mask and social distancing, and not immediately giving a handshake to a stranger. I think is something else I'm gonna
People
maintain.
do that normally?
In the United States, handshakes were like super a super big thing before pandemic. I think that's how you assert your dominance as a business person.
Oh
The
God.
aggressive American handshake. Nowadays, I think it's just gonna be like elbows or like fist bumps.
Not. Just
I'm gonna adopt bowing and just bow to people. I was just like, I'm Asian. It's fine. They get it. Um, oh, I started a book 2 days ago. It's called Never Let Me Go by Kazu Ishiguro. The other book, the book that Anita actually recommended, is his most recent one. It's Clara and the Sun. So I could not find and the Sun at the library because everyone wanted to freaking read it. So I think I'm like 50th in line. However, the
how
two that
long? How
yes,
long does it take? Oh,
I have
like
no clue.
50th in line. How?
I,
Oh, okay.
I think
So
there's yeah, I think there's only
there's
like 20 copies available.
there's no average how long people.
No,
Okay.
because you can renew the book however long you
Oh.
need to. Yep,
Oh.
that's a thing. Because it's not
Oh.
brand new. It's a couple months old. If it's like the first month, you can't renew it, but it's already been like 3 months, 4 months. So yeah, it's gonna be a while. I might just buy the book when it comes out in paperback. But I'm reading Never Let Me Go right now, just to get a sense of like his writing style and how he tells stories. Let's just say it's very interesting. It's very nebulous of what is what the actual plot is and what the setting is. So let's just say that I'm not completely sure, and I haven't read any synopsis or just anything ahead of time, so I don't know what the setting is supposed to be, who the characters are. And let's just say you are very much on a journey to discover all of that as you're reading it. Yeah, I'm almost halfway through it. I'm going to try to finish it this week. But yeah, very fun. Very interesting read. Anything else going on in your life this week, Koala? Before we head out?
Loud.
Oh, you watched
I
Loud?
watched the first episode of Loud. I must say, the concept is kind of weird. I don't know if you probably haven't seen teasers. So you got like 75 kids being there and auditioning and doing one, what they call the charm performance and skill performance. So this already shows the focus on like nowadays idols isn't purely skill, which is kind of concerning, but hey. And you gotta get a pass from both JYP and Psy. And it works like that they're sitting in two chairs, like 20 meters. You don't know meters, right?
I got this, meters. Don't worry. I can do meters. Don't worry. I got this.
Like 20 meters away from the stage, and they have like 3 buttons and different levels. And if they are interested into the trainee and the stage, they move closer to it to see more. Does that make sense? Can you imagine what it looks like? It's like some weird... It's like kind of the Voice concept, but also not.
Yeah, I get it.
In the front, you have to press a button, and if both of them press it, that trainee passes. I still don't know whether it means if you don't pass that you're completely out of the show, because then you literally just got like 3 minutes of screen time and never appear again. But hey. It's interesting. I think we've only had like 5 trainees until now. It's weird because you got a lot of small kids. You see, you got the 16-year-olds that are already still in the puberty, still growing, and then that 10-year-old walks into the room, going like till the shoulders of all the other dudes.
Wait, a literal 10-year-old is on the show?
Yes.
Oh, that seems. Oh,
yeah.
All right. Yeah.
And then he's also like super talented, but which makes it worse because I know he will be gripped over, or it's just he was like dance machine and like also really good at playing piano. Yeah. I forgot to tell. So if you press the buttons and if you're the first, you get access for the trainee to be part of your company.
Got it.
Does that make sense? Yeah,
it does. Yeah. And I'm just visualizing.
And for the next episode, it's already out, but I have only watched like the 5 minutes. They will have their in-house trainees, so P Nation trainees and JYP trainees.
P Nation has trainees. That is a revelation to all of us.
Psy also said. I think Psy said something like that. I think most people don't know that we have trainees.
That's kind of funny. What's the chemistry like between JYP and Psy?
It's nice. It's like Psy always calls him Hyung.
Oh.
So not Sunbeam, but Hyung.
Oh, that's cute.
And I think it's interesting because this is like Psy's first set variety show he's attending.
This is Psy's first like big project where he's like the face of it.
Like he's like a set cast. He's just part of the... And for the trainees of the in-house companies, they have the chance to switch companies. They can.
Interesting.
So if you're a JYP trainee, you can possibly switch over to P Nation if you want to.
This is kind of interesting. I might watch a few episodes because I do want to see the chemistry between JYP and Psy. And I think the idea of being in a competition show where you can switch companies is pretty... That's
interesting. I didn't think they would allow their kids to switch companies.
It also might be for the purposes of the show, right?
Yeah, but then again, I don't know if this is like set or if they can still switch afterwards.
Yeah.
They haven't like really explained it and how this is going to be after like all the charm and skill performances.
Yeah.
Another thing I noticed is they have to have a lot of translators on there. You got like a bunch of Japanese kids. Then you got a US kid who's like, I think he said he said he was attending School of Arts in California or something like that. So it's really, you have a lot of languages in that room. And it's really interesting because thanks to that Charm stage performance, you see really, really different aspects. Because the kid I'm talking about from the US, he's named Daniel. So he has Korean roots, but he grew up in Brazil and the US, if I understood it correctly. And he showed just a kind of vlog, a video for his Charm stage of him going to Korea. And it was like kind of, for me, it was like a DPR lifestyle of video. You know what I'm referring to?
Yeah.
Like that moody thing. So I think that Charm stage really puts the trainees in another light besides all the skills they might have. And it differs them again from like shows like Produce in the past. And it's in general really interesting. I still don't know where they're going though, and where this is heading to. It would be interesting to see the two final groups competing against each other though, like on shows and stuff, and which one does better.
Yeah, I think the premise is set up really well, where they're utilizing the fact that it's two companies, and I think it also kind of opens up this conversation of what parts of being an idol, what elements can be trained, right? Or like, what are your strengths aside from the typical dance, singing, and stage like how do you quantify stage presence? And I think charm is an interesting way to frame it. But yeah, thank you so much for the show overview so far for the first few episodes. I think it's at least piqued my interest, and I'm hopeful that other people will find it very interesting as well, and hopefully check it out.
One meme I've seen about the show, there was like one person. Imagine you're performing there and you just see JYP's chair rushing right in front of you. The person said they wouldn't be able to hold back their laugh. Like, imagine you're very serious performing there and you just see a JYP just really rushing with his chair in front of you. I don't think I could hold a straight face. That's like kind of weird with that concept.
Yeah, I think JYP and Psy both have the personality and energy that just anything they do is
hilarious.
Is hilarious and just very extra. All right, Koala, any closing thoughts for this week?
I don't think so. Just meeting up with a few friends. Planned another trip, 1 or 2 meetups.
Yeah, it's really just nice to hear, the world opening up and people getting outside, enjoying summertime, and being less in their fields and enjoying warm weather and the outside world again. All right, let's end it there this week. So thank you for listening to the SojuTalk Nation podcast, episode 23.
Subscribe on YouTube, follow on Spotify or your preferred podcast platform, and continue the conversation on the SojuTalk Kpop Podcast Discord.
This has been the SojuTalk Nation for Koala. This is Crispy. Bye.
Bye.